Welcome everybody who's here. We're super happy to see you. I'm Shannon, and I generally babble at you for an hour once a month. I run these meetings, so welcome. Thank you so much. We usually start with a couple just housekeeping issues, so please keep your mics muted while others are talking. If you'd like to contribute, you can either raise your hand physically or do the little hand raisey thingy dingy in Zoom. We are recording this, so if you're not comfortable having yourself on YouTube, then you can turn your camera off. When you're speaking, if you would just share your name and your relation to the school, just so everybody knows who you are. And as always, please be patient with us because we are living in, you know, these unprecedented times and so much is going on. So yeah, so welcome everybody. This is the second meeting of the year. And we got a lot of good work and good ideas put out in the last meeting that we're starting to implement. So we're super excited about that. And we usually start with principal updates from Holly.
Sorry, I was trying to respond to Marin saying thank you. I'll turn on my video for this. I'm parked, by the way, so don't worry, I'm not driving, but I am in my car. So sorry about that. Hold on. Here I am. Can you guys see me? It's probably a little bit dim. Let me try to turn on the light. That didn't help much. But anyway, hello everyone, and thank you for coming to tonight's PTO meeting. I don't have a lot today. The one thing I wanted to touch on is that I know that people probably have a lot of questions about the vaccines being available for students who are now elementary age. I'm very excited about this. The only thing that I can tell you right now is that I don't have any information. However, I know that David Douglas is going to be trying to set up some vaccination clinics at school sites and district sites to get as many kids vaccinated as possible. There have been a lot of questions that I've had from both staff and parents about, is this going to be required of students? And I don't have the answer to that yet. And my guess is that not right away, because it's so new, right? It's only just FDA approved. My guess for the future is that eventually, yes, it might be something that's required. But again, these are just guesses. I don't know, but I thought that might be a question that people have tonight that would come up. And so it's very new for me as well. I'm just following things as they happen in the news, just like you guys are. So I'm excited about the possibility of our students being able to be inoculated, but I just don't have any more information about that yet. What I can say, which is, I also said this at last PTO meeting, is that Ventura Park safety protocols continue to be rocking it. And we have, of all of the schools in the district, not that it's a competition, but we do have the least number of students quarantined. However, having said that, we do have students quarantined at any given time based on symptoms and other things that are happening, but we have had very, very few student positive cases. So that is good news for us. And I am confident to be able to say that we are keeping our students safe and communicating with families as soon as anything happens as we need to. So I feel very secure in our safety protocols. And as a principal, I will keep you all informed of the latest developments in vaccination availability and requirements for kids. That's really the main thing I wanted to touch on today, but some other things might come up that people have questions about, and I'm happy to answer those. But because it's so dim and I'm in my car, I'm going to turn my camera off again. But that was all I have for everybody.
Super duper. Thanks, Holly. That was definitely going to be my question if we were going to have clinics at any of our schools, because we are very excited.
Yes,
about
and as soon as we have details about that, Shannon, we'll get those out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Super. So oftentimes too, we have our Sunsite coordinator and our family coordinator and our Grow Portland coordinator on to give updates. I know that Sun is in, I think, the second week of after school classes, and it sounds like it's going well. My 5th grader is in a class and she's been loving doing debate with Miss Stella. And Grow Portland, we have a new garden teacher named Alicia, and hopefully they'll be able to come on next month and give us a little update. And then Ms. Jacqui did ask me to share a couple things. She is maybe able to come on later in the call, but wasn't able to be on at the beginning. So she's hoping to do some sort of a penny drive or some sort of a fundraiser to raise money to buy fall and winter holiday dinners for the families in the food program. We also have money in the bottle drop account. Oh, yes, Holly, sorry. Go ahead, Holly.
Sorry to interrupt, but I did just meet with Jacqui and Anna, our Sunset manager, today. We have regular check-in meetings, and we are for sure going to have a penny drive that starts November 29th. So right after conferences, right after Thanksgiving weekend, through December 10th, I believe, 2 weeks of school. And we're going to raise money for to be able to donate holiday dinners to Ventura Park families. So that is for sure. We're going to have flyers coming out soon about that. And we are also looking into Toy and Joy gift resources for families. And then for Thanksgiving, I also may have a source of some Thanksgiving dinner donations to families. I'm still working out the details of that. So we just met about that today, and I met with them today, and they said, if we can't be at PTO, just make sure that they know we talked about it today.
Yay. Well, that's awesome. Thank you. Mr. Quee also said that they're going to be doing a family bingo night again. We had one last year and it was super fun. There is a flyer and we can share that on the PTO group, and I'm sure it'll go out in emails too. And she said if anybody is interested in helping to plan or execute any events with her, she'd be happy to connect with them. So if you need her email address, you can reach out to us, or it's pretty easy to find. It's her first name, Jacqui _McDougall at ddouglas.k12.or.us. So it's the same as all of your teachers, but her name is Jacqui McDougall. So if you need that, let us know. And then a reminder about the food pantry. It's every Monday. It's free. It's after school. Usually starts at about 3:45 or 4 and goes until 5 or 5:15. There have not been many families, and it's super helpful for more families to come, because then the organization that runs it knows that it's an important resource for our community. So share with all of your parent friends that the food pantry is going on Mondays. And then there's also the backpack food program. And so if anybody is interested in the backpack food program, you get food delivered twice a month. And it used to be that kids would take backpacks home on Fridays, and now the food's getting delivered. So that's another great resource. And then ERCO Health Team is hosting a virtual Q&A with a pediatrician from OHSU about the vaccine rollout for younger kids. So if anybody has any questions or wants to find out more information about it, it's going to be tomorrow at 7 p.m. on Facebook Live. And we have a link for it that we'll make sure gets into the Facebook group. So that's another great resource. And these will all be in our notes too. But that meeting tomorrow, if anybody wants information about that, we can make sure that goes out. So that's it from our partners at VP. We sent out a questionnaire about 2 weeks ago for involvement in this Friends of Ventura Park group. And we've had some nice responses so far. We're going to send it out again. And if there's anything, if you have any interest at all in being a part of the PTO, we're not asking for a lot, but just fill it out and we'll get you on a committee and you can work on something that interests you. So we'll make sure to keep sharing that, and we'll get our committees put together soon and start talking about what we can do as far as events, outreach, fundraising, recruitment, all of the things that an organization like this does. And then I don't know if, Marin, if you have anything about grants, it's on the agenda. Any updates?
So I was just gonna see, make sure we got it in on the notes somewhere, because a lot of times with the emails, I can't keep track of who's volunteered to be part of committees so far, and knowing if there's been any responses that have come in yet. So I was just wanted to ask that question. It looks like the list we had that went out in the questionnaire was recruitment, which and then fundraising and grants. I know Nathan and I spoke up, but also we're looking for someone who has enthusiasm for the fundraising side, which is often takes a different skill set. And we do have a couple topics to bring up today around fundraising ideas. And then for outreach and kind of community coordination, I think Amy, did you speak up to be involved in that?
Which was what category?
It kind of like outreach. I think it's a little bit of a catch-all with like outreach, but like coordination with community. So kind of coordinating with the other committees that are active at Ventura Park, or coordinating with like Jaqui or Sun or.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay, so I want to make sure before I put that in the notes that's true, and I think there's several of others of us will help with that. And then what else did we have on here? Then events. We don't have anybody specifically down yet that I'm aware of. And then same with teacher and staff support. It'd probably be reasonable to like combine those into one committee if we need as well.
Yeah.
So Shannon, do you know if there anybody else had kind of spoken up so far?
We've had a couple responses with interest, and I think that what we're going to have to do is maybe have just a couple kind of big umbrella committees until we get more people interested, and then we can break those down into all of the, all of these different parts that we had initially wanted. So for those who have filled it out, thank you so much. It's amazing. If you haven't yet, we'd love to hear from you, and as much or as little involvement as you can spare for this organization would be wonderful.
Yeah, and I don't know, I mean, so many of us are not as in contact with other parents right now because of continued COVID, and not, you can't really like see people at school. So it's harder to get the word out, but yeah, just let people know if you're in touch with people that it's like, there's no commitment necessary. You can sign up and just say, hey, I express your interest, and you're not going to get roped into anything. So, okay. So with the committees, I think we did have a couple folks wanted to bring up a couple fundraising ideas. And I also wanted to mention the fall donation letter. We did draft it, but I don't think it's gone out yet. So I wanted to see, I think part of where we got confused is just, like how we communicate with the right people at the school to get into the voice of the Viking at the, on time. So we get it to the right person with enough lead time. But then also things like a printed letter that would go in packets, how, make sure we asked Holly or others the right process for that. So yeah, I guess just wanted to bring that up as well and see if we need to follow up on anything there to make sure it can go out.
Yeah, I know Holly has her hand up. So go ahead, Holly.
Thank you. So we did put the sort of, this is not what we call it, but it's what I think of it as, the no stuff fundraiser. We did put that ask in today's Voice of the Viking, which I'm excited. Today is the first day it actually went out on Wednesday, which is it's supposed to go out on Wednesday. That was a big feat for us. So, but we haven't done a printed version. It hasn't gone into packets because I didn't know if PTO wanted to make any changes to it. I just sort of made it general because the draft we had before was specific to like the carnival and spring and things, and we just made it really general and put it in the VOV. But I didn't do anything else yet because I didn't know if PTO wanted to change anything. So that's where we are right now.
We're in a new one, Holly, but I think we just, cross wires on like who's going to send it to the right person at the right time. So.
And that's great. That's great. I wanted to go ahead and just send out the general one because I'm like, maybe somebody just does want to donate money. So like that one's out there, but then anything else, like anytime you guys want to have something go in the VOV or have it go into Wednesday folders, you can send it to me. I'm often behind in my email though. So our Voice of the Viking person now is Karen Schauer, Sawer.
Okay. Great.
And I know
I would go ahead.
Sorry, I know that the first announcement that went out into Wednesday folders, so in a normal year, somebody from the PTO would go and make the copies by like Monday, make the copies, distribute them in the different teachers' boxes, all that jazz. But with COVID and restrictions on coming to school and stuff, I know that the first like intro to the PTO letter we sent out, I just emailed it to Barbie and she did that for us, who was our school secretary. So I'm not sure if we're still kind of going that route. Holly, are we?
So we are, you may have seen in the Voice of the Viking that we are now accepting volunteers again. It's just that the hoops to jump through to be an approved in-building volunteer are there are more requirements because of COVID safety protocols. Like you have to show proof of vaccination and you have to, you have to go through a couple of video trainings for COVID safety protocols. And then in addition to that, you have to go through the other steps that we always had of filling out the applications and having a background check. So to be a volunteer allowed in the building, which I'm so excited that we have that back, it's a 2-week process. Okay. So yes, PTO members are welcome to come in and do that as they've done before, but you have to have gone through the kind of 2-week long process to do that.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're happy to do it for you.
Okay, awesome. Amy, yeah.
So I was going to fill out a form, but I didn't think we were allowed in the school into the office. So how do I get a form?
So they are, here's the tricky part. I don't actually know if we have them electronically, which we should. We may still only have them hard copy, but you can just come and buzz the office, the doorbell, and we can bring you an application. We absolutely will allow you into the office to make copies or do anything as long as you've jumped through all those hoops. So once you are an approved volunteer, you can pretty much do anything that you've done previously as an approved volunteer, if that makes sense.
Awesome, thank you.
Great. Okay. And then I think we had both Alex and Amy had some fundraising ideas to bring up. So feel free to share. Lots of good inspiration.
Alex, do you want me to go? Well, you're not there. I can't see your picture, so I'm going to go. Oh, hi.
Hi, I'm here. Sorry, I'm also making dinner. What are we at now?
Do you want to start first with your fundraising idea and then I'll go after you, or do you want to continue cooking and then I will?
I can go now. This is great.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had a couple ideas. I've been trying to think like what I could bring to Ventura Park, and so I'm a K8 art teacher, and so one idea is I could do like an evening art class of some sort that people could like buy into, and those funds would go to the school, where I would lead like an hour and a half class or something like that, where I could teach them different techniques that would have a masterpiece that they could take home at the end of the evening. So that was one idea that could be something to think about. And then another one is I have a dark room at my house, and I used to do a lot of photography and kind of getting back into it, but I thought it could be interesting to have an afternoon where I could set up something outside and take portraits of family, but using black and white film, and then process it. And then they would purchase like an 8x10 or a 5x7 or something like that. And then, that they could take, and then the money could go to the school. So those are the two things I've kind of thought about. And yeah, I don't know how feasible that would be, or, with COVID and everything, like the outside portrait could be something that could happen in the springtime, when maybe more people are vaccinated and the weather is just better. And I don't know, possibly the art class could be on a Zoom, perhaps. I don't know. I'd be open to something like that as well. Or in person would be the best, but I don't know how feasible that is.
I, for one, love both of these ideas, Alex.
Awesome.
Super excited about both of them. And Holly has her hand up. Go ahead, Holly.
Thanks. First, hi, Finn. How are you?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
And pretty much anything, and I love these ideas too, and pretty much anything outside right now is doable.
Okay.
And we don't have to have proof of vaccination or anything like that. We just need to be distanced, and outside 3 feet is acceptable. And we need masks. There are masks required even outside right now on property. In terms of, we could have things inside, but anyone inside though would have to be one of those approved volunteers. So, that is a lot of steps to go through that people might not be willing to do. But I think most things outside we could accommodate. We would just, I guess, it would have to be weather dependent. But I love these ideas though.
Me too. We should do them both if you're willing to do them both, or pick which one you want to organize, because it's going to take a lot of your effort. So
Right.
figure out which one we should focus on first.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the photography thing would be really great, but yeah, we'd have to be outside, and yeah, weather dependent would be a little tricky. And then I guess since they're a family, I guess when the time comes to actually take the photograph, they could take their masks off, and we could do that. Yeah, I just don't know. I kind of saw that as more of a springtime thing. So I don't know. Whenever it can come together, yeah, I would love. I think the art class would probably be the easiest for me, just because that's what I do every day. And it's just either getting enough people to be able to come inside to warrant the class, or again, it could possibly be a Zoom type of scenario as well. That wouldn't be as fun.
We have, as a family, and my children have taken part in a couple art classes over Zoom that have been successful. It's obviously not as fun, but definitely they've been successful. And I agree that spring for the photo thing would be amazing.
Yeah, we should probably, I think, and that would give me enough time to like kind of get my dark room up and going, and just, it's been a while since I've like shot like somewhat professionally. So, but I think it'd be really cool and something different, something other than like a Walmart. Most people don't even get a printout anymore. And if they do, it's probably a Walmart type of scenario. So it'd be nice to have like a real, quote unquote, real black and white photograph that they could keep and passed on for generations. And then keep it reasonable so everyone could buy into it, and I have no idea for prices. And I'm happy to cover the costs of the supplies, and that's something I could do for the school. And then maybe that could make it to where the families could purchase one. And I don't know what the price would be, like, I don't know, $10, $15, something like that. But yeah, we should shoot for that for the spring, and I can start working on that. And then maybe before then, maybe try a Zoom night art class, and I could do a little art history, and maybe I see what class we do, but and then they could make a piece of artwork, or maybe they could pick up supplies at school. I don't know, something like that.
So Jaqui, with her Plan Learn class for the past year and a half, has been like a pro at sending home art supplies to do classes with preschoolers on Zoom. So she could probably help us with that, like how to organize supplies to be sent home and all of that. She's got, I've been super impressed with how she makes that work. So if we wanted, it might be fun to do that like soon, because whether are fewer activities that kids can be doing in the dark after 4:30, dark and rainy. So that could be an option if you're willing to do it that way. I don't know how hard numbers wise, if there's like a limit you can handle on Zoom, or if it makes it open. So like, hey, you got the supplies, if you're paying attention or not, like 100 people can do it.
Yeah. I think we'd have to, kind of plan that out. But yeah, I'll start working on that and try to put together different packs, and maybe shoot for, I don't know, something like maybe 15 families or 15 groups or whatever like that, something like that. That could be maybe a good start. And then, but yeah, I don't know how the fundraising would tie in, or how we would be able to secure money for that. But I mean, that would be ultimately an awesome thing if we could do that.
I know that probably both Sun and, probably Anna and Jaqui would be able to, get us supplies too, or, they get supplies a lot, like, they've given out a lot of packets of art supplies and things. So maybe they have a cheaper route, to getting that. And then we can just make sure it's, as affordable as possible, but still able to make the, pay for the supplies and still able to make a little bit of money for the PTO. That would be awesome. I love the idea of exploring some art form with, in a class like that. And as a family too, because the ones that we've done, my kids have just done it. We haven't done it with them, but the whole family thing sounds like fun too,
Yeah, I think it'd be a blast. So I'll reach out to Jaqui and kind of get the ball rolling with that. And I guess set a date, and I guess somehow through the Facebook or news flyers, but yeah, I'll work with Jaqui and try to get that into motion.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. Would we be able to use the PTO Zoom account, Shannon?
Yeah, it's my personal account, but we'd be able to use it. Yeah. For sure.
And for the fundraising part, it's possible to do it like whoever shows up on the Zoom, if one of us was the like fundraiser in the chat feed, and had either there's like text services you can use to just like, text to this number and make your donation, or PayPal, or, even if it was just like one of our personal PayPals, and then we wrote the check to PTO for whatever amount came in, we could make it super easy and like on the spot that way.
Instead of having people pre-register.
I like the idea of doing something where you could say like, here's the suggested donation is $20, but if you want to donate 40, so a sponsor a free family who isn't going to have to pay that way, or, something like that too, just to make it so, you don't have to pay to come.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll get it going.
All right.
All right, Amy.
Hello, everybody. So this was kind of briefly talked about in the last meeting, but there was the idea about doing a cookbook. So I wanted to just kind of bring that up again. I've sort of been thinking about it and sort of doing a little bit of research about that. And I really like that idea because it seems like one of those ways that we can get a lot of community and family involvement and try and get a lot of the cultural groups that we have at our school involved. And that's just, I don't know, it's something that I'm so impressed with our school that we're such a diverse school, but I don't really see a lot of that reflected in our PTO. And so this might be kind of a good way, maybe for recruitment too, to kind of get them sort of involved with what we do and also share these amazing recipes. I mean, it's such a cultural resource to have all these people. I mean, everybody cooks, everybody's eating. And I know that a lot of cultural groups, like food is a big get together, you know, like it's one of the things that we've been missing out for the last couple of years is being able to get together to have meals. And so it was just kind of like a heartwarming fundraiser idea. But how do we reach the families is one of the big questions that I had. And I don't know, you know, we don't seem to have, that's my big question is I just don't know how to reach people. Is email best? You know, the Facebook group, you know, I don't know, a lot of people are on Facebook or if they're even going online. Is the Wednesday folder the best way? So that's my question to maybe Holly. How do we reach the families so that we can get this information, and would they be willing to participate? You know, would they be more willing to participate if their child was somehow more involved? You know, like maybe it has the student's name attached to the recipe, their country of origin. I don't know, lots of questions that I had about that. The best way to reach the families.
If I can, first of all, if I can speak up a little bit, and thank you, Amy. I love this idea. So that I don't have an easy answer. The answer is yes, all of the above. Like, yes, the student's name should be attached to it if the family's comfortable. You know, yes, we should have as much of that sort of stuff as possible. In terms of communicating it out, when I want to communicate something out, I'd use everything. I use the text, I use email, I use the VOV, I use social media, although I haven't been as great on our Instagram account and Twitter. I'm going to get back into that. I also use one of the greatest resources we've had have been our family liaisons. And in the past, we had a community leadership team that has not resumed since COVID, but we still have some members of our community that are amazing at reaching out to our culturally specific families. Jaquie is amazing with our Black and African American families. Anna Silvanovich, who is employed also by IRCO, but was on our community leadership team, and she's a parent at the school, is amazing with our Slavic families. We've used Perla, whose last name is escaping me right now, but she's also a parent, has also helped with our community leadership team and IRCO with communicating to our Spanish-speaking families. That all of the resources that I just mentioned are the ways to get in touch with people. It's really hard to pin down what the best resource is because everybody has different ways of communicating. And what we don't have, now Anna, our Sunsite manager, she can be our Vietnamese liaison because she is Vietnamese and fluent in Vietnamese. And yes, Louise, welcome. Also, we don't have an established Somali family liaison, although we do have one at the district level. So we could maybe reach out to that person at the district level to reach out to our Somali families if we have specific information that we want delivered. So we have resources, but unfortunately, I can't say this is the way to communicate with everybody. It's kind of like we just have to throw everything at the wall, right? And then and then we get what we get, and that we've had mixed levels of success with all things. But I do love the idea of the cookbook, because we can also bring in the cultural elements of our community, and and like really focus on like being prideful in that. And there's so many things that we could do with that. So, and I'm really supportive of this idea.
Hey, I love this
Oh, you're
idea
muted.
too. And maybe for this one, because we do want to make sure we reach as many people as possible, maybe it should be like kind of the goal for it to be ready when we have our end of year family picnic, and then we can spend the next couple of months trying to reach as many people as possible. And then we'll have a couple of months to kind of put it together, and so we have time to make it a really amazing, thoughtful thing, because I love this idea.
Yeah, I can have it ready before then. I would like to, I don't know. I have like these ideas of like, is this something that would could it go to not just our school, but to a bigger audience? Like could it go to our community, not just, like everybody in East County or whatever, not just Ventura Park.
That's awesome.
Publish to Ventura Park first and then keep selling it.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could just this would be like a real feel good piece, for on the news, that here's one way a small school or a very diverse school is finding ways to have the community come together, kind of thing. I don't know. And so these cookbooks, there's different ways that they can get put together. They have online ones where everybody can go in and insert things, like insert recipes online. And this is like a whole other, there's like so many bigger questions, and maybe that's for another group, for people who want to get involved. If you want to get involved with cookbook, contact me. Or we do set up like a Google Docs form or something, and people can insert recipes in there, or even if they're not online, we could send out something in Wednesday folders where they could just write it down and return it. I don't know. We could send out a form that way, sort of like Holly said, just sort of like try as many different ways to reach people as possible.
Mhm.
And they range to print, I think, somewhere between like $4 to $6 per cookbook. And that kind of changes the more you print, obviously. And then if you sell them for between 10 and 12. Yeah. So that's my little fundraising idea. If anybody would like to be a part of that, I have lots of questions like categories for cookbooks, and and then how to distribute these things at the end.
All right, it looks like Jean has a question or something to say.
Hi, I'm Jean. This is my first time here. Hi, Amy. I would love to come be a part of the cookbook. I've done some printing with Minuteman Press that's in the neighborhood. And so I would be curious about reaching out to them and seeing if maybe they could do a deal if we get it printed locally.
Mhm.
They're phenomenal. I think it would also be really fun to maybe insert some kids' art, because my husband put in a cookbook recipe when he was like 8 years old, and God love my mother-in-law, she gave that cookbook to me, and it's a terrible recipe, but we have, I mean, this is 40 years later, we still have this cookbook that my husband was a part of. So I mean, I think it's something that would be lasting and could be really fun. So I would be a part of it.
Okay, that's awesome.
I think the kids' artwork is a fantastic idea. Our kids are fantastic artists, and maybe their parents would buy a cookbook if their kids' artwork was in it.
And their grandparents and their aunts and uncles, and yeah. Yeah, I love some, the community cookbooks that we have are some of my favorites to flip through, from the town I grew up in. And
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I did one a few years ago with my hula group. So we all contributed recipes, and it's all Hawaiian, local, South Pacific type recipes. I went to look for it. I couldn't find it, but it was 8.5 by like 5.5 or something like that. And it's spiral bound, and it was lovely to put together. I already started working on a cover, of course.
Yay, of course you did.
Yes, I did see it. There's different ideas.
Oh, that's so cute.
Anyway, I can't help it. I just play around.
So if we don't have contact info, maybe put it in the chat so Amy can get a hold of you. And then
Yeah, maybe you can start.
Luis mentioned another idea as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Luis. Very nice to meet y'all. So this is just a crazy idea here. And it's funny because that you mentioned, Amy, that it's kind of corresponds to yours, and then the person before you, I forgot what his name was, but having like a Zoom cooking class. So kids love activities. I think people who are already going to the school and whatnot could possibly, maybe we can prepackage something that could be like enchilada night or taco night, or something that it's very convenient for them to pick it up there. And then, hey, they already have the ingredients that same night, we do the Zoom cooking class or whatnot. Just depending on, the cost and whatnot, but just something to throw up in the air. I think it'd just be very interactive with everybody. I think I love cooking. My son loves enjoying cooking with me. And it can be different variations of ethnic food. So enchiladas, or maybe do like some sort of curry, or maybe do like, what else is there? Maybe like ravioli night, you name it. It's endless at this point. So yeah, that's just a simple idea there.
Love that idea too. And I know that a couple of years ago, there was, with the food pantry, sometimes you'll go through a time when the food pantry will get like the same food, right? So you'll have a lot of like kale or whatever. And I know I used to volunteer with the food pantry, and there were people who were like, do you have any resources, like what to cook with this, right? That kind of thing. So I don't know if it's even feasible, but kind of working this idea, maybe coordinating with you, with the PTO, and with Anna, on using some of the things that come pretty often in the food pantry would be super helpful too.
Yeah, I think trust me, I think I have like 20 milk cartons that I have in my fridge from the amount of people bring it over to us. And you can definitely make some good roux, or you can make, you name it. I mean, that's a good idea. I think I like that idea. So
yeah, that's awesome, Lewis. Thank you. And did you, by any chance, fill out the questionnaire or see the questionnaire yet?
no, I haven't filled out anything.
We're hooking you in.
Right.
Yay. Well, these are awesome, not only because they're great, I think, fundraising ideas, but they're also great community ideas. And that's one of our big, our big pushes, especially after all of the aloneness, from COVID, just have, kind of deep diving back into our community and creating a new, stronger community after this, as this pandemic keeps going. But as we're starting to get back out there, I love these ideas for sure.
So I had one other thing I wanted to throw out as an idea. It's not a fundraiser. This is more of a school thing. But with the grants for the garden, that I've been looking into, like what opportunities there are to apply for more grants. And there are a variety that are more focused on like pollinator garden or nature areas and that type of thing. And so I was just curious if folks liked the idea. I have this idea with like right where the parking is, where we have that like horrible 50-year-old shrub of whatever it is that is like between the parking and the street. If we were to get like grant money and work with Grow Portland to turn some of that into nicer like bird habitat, pollinator garden, something like that, it seems like there's a lot of resources to apply for, but Grow Portland would probably have to help us, of course. So just curious if that's like of interest to anybody else.
It is of huge interest to me. I hate that shrub. I know it sounds bad, but a couple of years ago when part of it burned down, I was really happy. Also, though, to consider, we have 2 other courtyards that are not visible from the street. There are inner courtyards that are the same size as our garden courtyard. And one of them is we labeled our bird sanctuary courtyard years and years ago before I was principal. And I think maybe even before I was a teacher at Ventura Park, which was in 2002. That was designated as a bird sanctuary courtyard. And we have some bird houses in there, but you can tell that it's not really maintained anymore. You know, the bird houses are kind of dilapidated. So I've had this vision for, you know, forever of that courtyard. So it's kind of exactly what the garden courtyard is, but on the opposite side of the school, being adopted by like some sort of local something or other to really actually be a bird sanctuary courtyard. And so that is I think a perfect place, even though it's not out in front, right? It wouldn't be as visible, but I do think that that is a perfect place for something like that because it already has some benches in it. It already has some beautiful trees planted in it. In fact, it's just about to lose its leaves, but it has the most beautiful dwarf Japanese maple in the entire city of Portland in it right now. It's like bright red. But I think that would be the perfect habitat for something like that. And maybe, you know, I know that people can do, and some of you may have done this, like have their backyard certified as an Audubon Society habitat. I feel like that courtyard is the perfect place for something like that. So maybe we could loop that in, and maybe in addition, some of the front areas of the school. We also have a greenhouse courtyard. We have a courtyard that is kind of in the same location, but a little bit more south, kind of right out in front of the office, where I'll take a picture tomorrow. Where we actually have a greenhouse. We have a functioning greenhouse with electricity in another courtyard that we are really not using very much. Pre-COVID, we let our community transition program, our special needs 18 to 21 program, use that space to grow some flowers. But that's another space that we have that we could really think about for some grant work there for some sort of preservation type grants. So Marin, I welcome you to come visit at any time. I can show you these spaces and it would give you some more.
The one with the maple in it with the benches. I know what you're talking
about.
Oh,
so pretty, so pretty. And then our other one we have a greenhouse. We have our own greenhouse and we don't really utilize it. So these are things that I would love to see happen that I think would probably depend on grant funds. And I'm absolutely in support of that.
Okay. Yeah, I can connect with Elisa, and she's new to the school, but just maybe come by sometime and talk to her about ideas and stuff, and whoever else wants to chat about ideas too. That'd be great.
Another thing I wanted to tell you guys is that our previous garden teacher and Grow Portland coordinator, Jenny, is actually now an employee at Ventura Park. She is one of our she's one of our instructional assistants. And even though she's not working with Grow Portland anymore, she might be a good person to say, hey, when you worked with Grow Portland, can you think of any contacts that we're not thinking about? So we have her in the building and we can consult her probably for that.
That's great to know. She was super helpful with us getting grants last year. So perfect. Okay, do we still have Shannon? I'll turn it back to you, Shannon. I think that's it for at least what I saw come in for agenda things. Anything we missed?
No, I was talking before and I didn't realize I was muted. But Amy put in the chat thoughts for a fundraiser for later growing starts. So that would be something fun to do and have the kids be involved in too. I think we talked about doing that a couple of years ago too, but it never materialized. Yeah, I think this is great. The only thing that I didn't share yet is the budget report. Just so everybody knows, we have $3,152.95 in the bank. We still have half of our Grow Portland bill outstanding that we'll pay. I think we'll get an invoice in the spring that grant from Whole Foods covers. So, still kind of a little bit tight. So thinking about doing some of these fundraisers soon, to help kind of grow that balance a little bit. We put the pie fundraiser off, so we should decide maybe at the next meeting if we want to do one in the spring and try to get our preferred date kind of locked in if we do want to do that. And then as far as these other fundraisers go, I think Alex is going to share some information about what he thinks for a Zoom art class, and then Amy and Jean are going to connect and start talking about what needs to happen for the cookbook. And then Louis, I don't know if you want to connect with us with your idea, or if you know Anna to connect with her, but we can start talking about that too. And then something Amy said, and the conversation about like how to connect with as many people as possible, made me think that maybe we should try to get our questionnaire in, on a piece of paper so people can fill it out and send it out with take-home folders, so people who don't have access to the computer and able to answer the Google Forms questionnaire can answer that. So we can work on that and try to get that to go out to to the take-home folders in the next week or so too, if y'all think that's a good idea. Okay. Yeah, and does anybody else have anything else to share? No, any questions? All right. Well, yay, good work, everybody. As always, if you have any questions or concerns or anything, you can email us, venturaparkpto@gmail.com. And we will post this video on YouTube and have after meeting notes and stuff to go out in the next week or so. So, yeah. All right, cool. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Have a good night, everyone.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.